Okay, so here's a topic I haven't covered on this channel before. Differences between Norwegian and American marriages. So obviously, I've only ever been married to an American. But one big difference that I can note, and that will be the subject mostly of this video, is the huge, almost inconceivable differences between the way money is handled and shared in American versus Norwegian marriages. This is one thing that I've noticed people from both cultures have such a great difficulty wrapping their heads around. So hopefully if you're watching this, I can ask you to stretch your brains out and not say that one way is better or worse, because from my assessment, in a way, it all kind of works out to be the same at the end, but it's really different in concept and feel, and shows, I think, some huge differences in the culture that both Americans and Norwegians have trouble understanding. So in an American marriage, most people share their money. I do have some friends in America that have separate bank accounts from their partner, but for me, it's always been a little bit of a pause if I hear that. My first instinct is oh, don't you trust them? Even though straight up logically, I know that it makes more sense to have some of your money to yourself because I saw this in my own family when my biological parents got divorced. Somebody can run off with all the money. I know that logically. And yet still I have this moment of it's a little bit odd not to just automatically have a joint bank account with your partner in America. But in Norway, it's the complete opposite. Almost nobody shares bank accounts with their partner. And when my husband and I tried to get a joint bank account here, you can't. The concept doesn't exist. And I know y'all are going to want to correct me and be blah, blah, blah. Yes, it does. But it doesn't. It doesn't in the way that it does in America. I can add my husband as a user to my bank account and vice versa. But only one person can be the owner of the account. And that is different than in America, where two people can be the equal owner of the account. And these differences go even farther into how the money is used in a family. For us as Americans, it's surprising when we hear, okay, a Norwegian couple is renovating their shared house, but they each split it 50-50. So they take money out of their account, 50% to put into the joint money for renovation. Now, the reason that I say that to me this works out to be the same in the end is that ultimately, if a married couple in America is renovating their house and all their money goes into a shared account, and then they both put in for renovation from that account, it's essentially both their money. Now, I love y'all Norwegians and God bless y'all, but you're going to try to tell me it's still better the way you do it. And on this channel, I'm all about there's no better or worse in culture. It's just different. So here's how it's just different, not better or worse. Norwegians will try to say, well, what if one person earns more, right? So then, you have to get the numbers right about who contributes what. Well, I've heard equally as many Norwegian couples have difficulty saying, yeah, I earn less or they earn more. And then I felt within our relationship, there was an agreement that I had to put in more. I had to put in 50%, even though I don't earn 50%. Now, it can look different, but I'm just saying that's within the couple, eventually you still have to make decisions about how much each partner contributes, and that doesn't always feel fair or perfectly even to the other partner. And I've heard that from both sides, the person that makes more, the person that makes less. At the end of the day, you still have to come to arrangements about who contributes what, and yeah, maybe you agree to that on paper so it feels fairer, but I've heard the secret resentments of people behind the scenes about those things. And of course, the same can happen in an American marriage where you're sharing the money. The person that earns more feels well, we take it out of our joint account, but it's more my money. The only time that I've seen this maybe be a little bit more reasonable in Norwegian society is that if you have a divorce, the assets are so much clearer to split when most of the assets have been kept separate throughout the marriage. And in America, it's much more difficult. And I think that makes a really profitable divorce market for lawyers who can just take couples to the cleaners. There's also the issue of alimony. If you get divorced in America, there is a very common thing where you have to pay your ex-partner money to keep them in the same lifestyle that they lived during the marriage. And that doesn't exist in Norway primarily because people keep separate bank accounts. But here's the real issue, actually, is that staying at home as a mom or like sometimes a dad, one parent staying at home is much more common in America. So sometimes you have somebody who's not earning at all. And so then you have to find a way to support them if there's a case of divorce. And that's just a lot less common in Norway. Okay, this is already too long, and those are my first initial points. But yeah, huge difference. I find that couples in both areas have trouble wrapping their minds around it. Let me know if you have any questions about how that looks or feels in practice.